risk disclosures and ensuring that the consumers are fully aware of what they're getting into, so the transparency of information, that currently I think it's a little lacking. We're not there yet. And finally, prudential requirements. So prudential requirements are extremely important when it comes to particularly tokenizing financial instruments. We do have, when it comes to stable coins, we have very specific reserve requirements, but a lot of time those are really, really tight in the terms of, what kind of assets you can use as backing, etc. So I think that part of the ecosystem still needs to open up and needs to be more robust. We've got the Basel requirements, which hopefully are going to change and make all of our lives easier when it comes to tokenizing financial instruments. But yeah, those are the 4 components I would focus on.
That's one of my favorite questions. Believe it or not, it's not my first rodeo, and I've been through a lot of different crises in different markets. Markets have a love-hate relationship with regulation, right? If the regulation comes too early, guess what? It kills innovation in its nest. If it comes too late, well, too late to sorry, but not sorry, right? So it's just about, it's a dance, right? And you need to find the right tempo to come in at the right time. But it's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's an unsolved question, really, for all of us. Dolly.
And a very broad one. We'll need one panel just to discuss that, but to keep it short. See, it's an interesting time because regulations caught up quite lately when it comes to tokenization or digital markets. But on the hindsight, this is very much needed, to add to all the conversations we've had. If we are looking to move money on chain, to move the traditional and illiquid assets, and if regulators are not ensuring accountability, supervision, governance, they're not going anywhere. So we are a regulated firm, very proud of that, but we have seen the shift going from building this from a no man's land to subsequently the regulation that, okay, somebody needs to ensure that things are happening so from a broader perspective, very important.
Mohammed?
I think that's the key for institutional adoption. Without regulation, you won't have the institutional adoption. And I think if I look at the stable coins, for example, Genius Act in the US, that reassures the users of stable coins that at the end of the day, you have backing by assets that are of a certain quality and that are subject to some form of supervision. MiCA in Europe, it's the same story. Here in the UAE, the regulation on stable coins, whether at the level of the DFSA or at the level of the central bank or in a DGM, they all have in common requirements on the quality of the underlying assets and imposing a certain supervision on the stablecoin issuers. And that's the key to be able to bring institutional money on chain.
Sure. So on the regulatory environment, the reason why I moved from Switzerland to Dubai 10 years ago with my 10 children is because there was no regulatory environment 10 years ago in Switzerland, all right? So I was leaving my job as a CEO of Standard Chartered and getting into a new life as an engineer, going back into technology, and I moved here because this country is much more advanced in many ways than other countries. We now have regulatory environments in Abu Dhabi, here in Dubai, but really the country is going into it. So I guess it's a mixture of pushing by the private sector plus a visionary attitude by the leaders, which is, we're very lucky here in the UAE, we have fantastic leaders. Anyway, having said that, any questions from the public? Please go ahead. Are we so boring or so clear? None of them. All right. No questions? There's one there. Okay. Can someone give him a microphone, please? Hello? All right. Just come over and get this microphone. Come. Come here. Get my microphone.
So my question is, many tokenization projects fail because they depend on user adoption, right? So what happens if institutions refuse to onboard with you all? What's your plan B?
Yes, I mean, this industry is crowded, right? And it's a very much of a mercenary play. If you look into the technology industry, at the end of the day, CMO are rare. And it's like a growl to find the right CMO. Guess what? Because it's all about how do I attract a community, but also how do I retain that community, right? You can have a brilliant idea, and 2 minutes later someone is like, oh my God, this is a great idea, I'm going to do exactly the same, but I have a better way to attract a community, right? There is a lot to play here. It's also a lot of like, how do you reward users so they come back? If it's a token play, is there airdrops? Is there perks? Is there anything that makes people wanting to come, right? There is a lot of different components to it, but at the end of the day, it's an extremely mercenary play.
Right. Anybody else want to say anything about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think if someone is refusing to onboard, it's worth finding out why. I think that's probably the starting point. Why are they refusing? Is it because of some regulatory issues? I mean, institutions typically look at compliance as the first thing that they want to see. Is it because there's no utility to it, right? We keep tokenizing assets, but then what? What is the purpose of this? So I think it's, yeah, I would say worth finding out why they've refused and kind of taking it from there.
So just before I close the panel, I'd like to thank these incredibly bright people that have illustrated to you what's going on in the world of tokenization of financial assets. And just one last comment. And I'll pay you the beer if this doesn't happen, all right? In 10 years from now, 50% of the assets that you're trading will be tokenized. 50%, 50. Write that number, and you can come and see me in 10 years and charge me for that. There's one question there. Please go ahead. This is the last question, by the way. Otherwise, they're going to kick us out of here. You have to be quick, please.
Hi. This question is based on the accounting. So I understand that tokenization will often promote a way to enhance liquidity. But as a standard point for accountants, the question is that we know that true liquidity depends on market depth, fair value, and regularity clarity. Do we have this if we tokenize the assets? If not, how do we gonna balance this with the accounting regularities?
Anybody wants to give the... I didn't understand it very well, to be honest. Did you understand the question?
The question was on fair valuation and the liquidity.
Right, correct.
And the impact of liquidity on fair valuation. I think, one of the challenges that the secondary market for digital bonds face today is the lack of liquidity. And that lack of liquidity is underpinned by the challenges that we discussed related to interoperability and also related to bringing the money natively on the chain. And that could result in, difficult price discovery or difficult valuation of the instrument. But as the industry creates solutions to bring money on the chain, as we move to a world where all the blockchains will be interoperable, I think the improvement in liquidity could lead to better price discovery.
Thank you, Mohammed. So we're up, our time is up. I think I'm going to sign you all as mentors at Canadian University Dubai. You're all bright minds, so we need you for the students. Thank you very much. Thank you to the public. We'll see you soon.